Ladies and gentlemen, I am Pronago, and with me is Frognago, because Mesk, we are continuing our gauntlet cast, and now we have to see who's going to come out on top between Btyb and Grunch. Are you ready?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
I can't wait. I mean, Grunch seemed to have like a pretty lax opening style. Btyb, on the other hand, seems to just like to smash, or be smashed very early on. He will be on the bottom left here. I'm going to go ahead and just guess this is white Zerg. Oh, it's tea green. God damn it. And up here in the top right, I don't actually know what this color is. It's not regular blue, but it's not ultramarine. And Btyb is typing. I didn't think I'd say that. But I guess we'll just call this one...
Btyb is already Shambler.
That's right. That's right. Well, he's also already 7
I forgot he's fucking Zerg.
It's the Zafir color.
It's not a 6 pool, though.
No, it's a 7
That's
pool.
disappointing.
He's still carrying it in spirit. He doesn't know anything about this guy. All he knows is that he's lost his first set, so he's going to fight him. And it will be a pretty fast fulcrum here for Grunch, skipping bio altogether in this set.
That seems quite common nowadays.
Yes, yeah. There's not too many bio believers left, but a Hamster was doing it for a while. He's explored the fulcrum openings now. Yes, he went from Zerg to Protoss to Terran now, so everybody's changing everything. They're all just preparing to change into Iskozi when it comes out, so they'll have run the gamut by that point, you know? Makes a lot of sense.
The Iskozi and their missionary positions.
Something like that. I do like the guy who like puts muscle emoji next to his 12 APM, and he always comes in with the good jokes. I like that guy. I think he's somebody that Nebline should know since he's from Aussie.
Well, they probably both have to hang out upside down, getting tickled by redbacks whenever they try to use the fucking potty.
Wouldn't surprise me.
Like
Speaking of, there's 3 Masons involved in this fight, and one of them was trying to build the fulcrum in peace. It is a very fast second one, though, so no economics out of Grunch in this game.
Well,
meanwhile, the Zeth cores are on the way.
Vulture micro because there are some Zeths on the way.
Isn't this weirdly familiar? Don't you remember on Impetus where Dead Infested did this?
Deja vu. Yeah. He ran into this last time. He should be well prepared for it then.
But he doesn't quite slow the Vulture itself, so instead, he does avoid the stun. That's pretty big, but now his Zets can't really move quite so fast, and with 2 Vultures out, it feels like you gotta cancel the plans and head on back home.
Yep. The chase is on. Away they go.
They're on their way out. I do think that with the Quasilisks on the way, Btyb should stand a good chance of holding this, but he didn't really get any lasting damage. In fact, any damage at all. Didn't kill a single unit. Yep. I think his scout worker did make it back home at least, so there is that.
It died.
Oh, it did?
The Vulture killed it when it popped out.
Ah, that's right. That's right. I see its corpse right over here. So, you know what? I wanted to give Btyb credit, but he didn't earn it anyway, so see ya. Now the Vultures are going to find these Zeths. I feel like those could have been burrowed for a nice little pincer or something, but
I think he was hoping to just attack from behind or leave them out of the way, but they weren't burrowed, so... But he should be fine for now. It'll be a hatch on the ramp again, so no expansion for him. The Vultures are just kind of chill here and slowly amass. Oh, lobster, de-lobstered.
Yes, indeed. Still trying to benefit from that cliff advantage, but as soon as they go down, they're in for a real painful fight. You can see Grunch already positioning his Vultures behind the wounded ones behind the healthy ones. He's got more of them waypointing down, so... He has his quarry up now, but during that time, he wasn't making workers, so the worker count very low in this game. However, he does have a very sizable number of Vultures there.
He also has 2 idle Masons, so that's not really helping his cause.
Yes, no kidding. 2 of them there, and 1 idling in the natural because he was going to go ahead and build treasury at some point, but he ran out of the money. So now going into Cyclops. I mean, that's a scary unit now, but back in the day, people like Nebline were saying that they were useless. We'll have to see if they pose much of a threat. Ovolith on the way.
Cyclops switch. Now with something else.
I know. Could you believe it?
I thought something like that might happen, but I wasn't expecting it.
Back when Mystery Meat was still around, who might actually join us for your birthday tournament, actually, Mesk. It could be a nice present.
I hope it'll be cheesy.
I can only hope so. Ovolith now hatching for Btyb, so he's going to use that just to see the mines. He does end up walking into one.
Shit, he slowed the minerals. They'll never get away now. Btyb exercising an uncanny amount of restraint. Not the normal Btyb, but now he's got like one circuit done, and because of the cliff, it's definitely going to tickle anything that goes near the ramp.
Yes.
Two of those vultures are pretty heavily wounded. I don't think that the Terran can easily bust this, and if he tries and fails, he's just going to give Btyb back his nat. He's definitely much safer to just kind of chill out here for a moment. And looks like Btyb wants to kind of inch his way forward here. It's almost like a tank. Push. Almost.
Yeah, almost. I like this, actually, though, establishing a foothold on the ground, and then again, if they dive too deep to try to contest that, the Circuit on the cliff will stop that. So Grunch now, thinking about this situation, sees the Kagra spreading ever so slightly forward, tries to put down some more mines.
Now, Btyb is not fighting this on the ramp, so a lot of that advantage isn't there, but his units will heal. He doesn't have to commit all at once, so long as he doesn't lose too many quasis. He can just slowly tickle out the Terran, which is kind of what happened here. He's realizing he doesn't want to get tickled, doesn't want to have a dead infested moment.
No kidding. He also wants to eventually build something other than Quasilisks, as evidenced by the Hydrith Den. So that's another reason why you don't, you wouldn't draw illusions to dead infested in that last set. So.
Oh my God.
Oh, the drop. Well, never mind. Go back to the dead infested comparisons. Well, he doesn't have only one, but I guess it counts.
It would be nice just to drop only one, and then all the Terran units go all the way back across the base.
This is the man who it worked against. What is he going to do to 6? Is he just going to start throwing his computer out the window? I mean, I'd be pretty scared.
I mean, that's really all you can do at that moment.
6 times the fear.
Btyb finally gets to take his expansion. He could move that circuit a little bit forward if the Zovolith wasn't on a secret mission. The Terran is indeed moving all the way back across the map, so...
Yeah, but at this point, Grunch has a significant macro advantage. 10 worker lead, natural already up and mining. He's only now transferred to Vespine, so his gas advantage will be somewhat fleeting if Btyb's on top of the ball. But he's still on only 2 hatch production. No Larvask, no 3rd hatch yet, because of course his natural's only halfway done. And let's see what the Quas drop can do. It's starting to be sighted.
No. My God, they're tickling. Oh my God, they're tickling. Oh, they pathed around, so he ends up taking a bunch of losses. Can't quite slurp up. Oh my God. Oh my God. He gets away with it.
He's fine.
Only one quasi died.
Yeah, and it trades for 3 workers, and a lot of lost mining time as they transfer back over. You got to remember, in Cosmonarchy, the workers move slower than they do in Starcraft 1. I almost called it Stockcraft, but I was thinking of Stock Starcraft. The main thing I'm looking at here, though, is the saturation levels. When Grunch did that pull, he put a couple too few workers in there to the main comparatively. So again, this worker advantage that he's got is not being fully activated. Btyb can start to catch up and is doing so with 4 in production, starting to get some Hydras out as well. A little bit scary to be going up against this much mech this early on, though.
Yeah, the main thing is there's no, clerics. Oh, the one just came out, but if he might be able to get a couple kills in here, but the wounded units are kind of in the back, so it's sort of unlikely with all those Goliaths in front. But now that the clerics are out, it's definitely not a good idea. Oh my God, it's happening! Oh,
but they're going after the watchdog and not the workers, so that's gonna need a little bit of extra.
He doesn't want to go. Now it's a Madrigal on top of it.
Yeah.
He's just gonna sit back, but at the same time, the quasis are violently tickling. And the kill counts are starting to escalate. Oh.
Single vulture arrived. No, he's actually pulled out a significant number. This would be the opportunity for Btyb to attack, but he hasn't shown too many of his units. Now he will. Maybe Btyb will think about attacking. Instead, he's back at home macroing, getting a 4th hatch down. I feel it's a little late to go for the 4th hatch.
Even if he lost everything,
now,
killing that Madrigal and everything else in the front would still be a pretty good return for him because it stops the Madrigals from reaching an insufferable number.
Yes, yeah.
And it's quite expensive. I think they're still probably 150, 100?
They are, I think they're 100 of each now, but back on this patch, I believe they were 125 of each resource. So it's still pretty pricey for sure. Would have been worth it to...
the cleric.
Yes, of course. Trapped in a... Well, we don't need to say too much. The Izir cores are charging forward here. Only a couple of them actually getting purchased, and that Madrigal is going to start to really raise up its damage. Already north of 500 just in this one fight alone. The Cyclops adding to the splash. Bit of a disastrous fight there. Couldn't overwhelm it since, as you mentioned, a window for doing that was over and shut already.
Was kind of lost at that point. Plus the Azura cores. This was just the same problem I saw with the Night Fox game that I casted versus Shambler.
Yes.
Where the tanks got... he's fucked. The tanks got caught in the back or in the side or whatever. They weren't able to go up front, so they ultimately didn't really contribute a lot besides body blocking other units that were smaller.
Yes, it was in many ways a detriment since the Azir Core not attacking
Another
means
one's
it's
gonna
not
die in just a
tanking.
moment.
Yep, and it's also not. It's disallowing other ranged units from finding purchase in the fight. So Btyb's army, it's posturing like it can do more than it really can versus what we're seeing here from Grunch. There is lethality here, especially fighting away from the static defense that Btyb just dutifully mutated it right outside of his 4th hatch. So.
Yeah, there's no point in humoring the run back and forth. You either commit or you don't, and you're not in a situation where you can commit, so you're just going to sit back, and it helps to even split your control groups. One of the baits of larger unit selections is you're tempted just to stick everything into one. That doesn't work when you have tanks like Azir Cores and Zoryus. You need those separated, and especially if you're having issues where they're not getting on front, you need to have those in a separate control group, or at least control select them and move them out first. And this is going to keep happening, the tickling here.
Well, the other thing I'm really curious about as Btyb attempts to move out is he had the opportunity to maybe pinch off to the right and go for a surround. Instead, Grunch has a significantly superior position to use the Cyclops Splash to just get endless amounts of purchase on to Btyb's army. So even though the worker counts
out here
are
with that
even
Madrigal
now.
deployed and just bait him in again, because look at the army count.
Right.
Grunch has a substantial advantage in that, and he can just force a fight at that point and just sweep. But he doesn't want to. He's being a little timid. He's got a Trojan, though, and some idle workers, but he's got a Trojan.
I wonder if he's going to do that
Cyprians.
Cyprian drop. You know, I see the Cyprians light up in the production queue. We're thinking the same thing on that, I think.
Now, the Hydroth Den is morphing. And if we look at Btyb's worker line, a Cyprian drop in either base would be pretty devastating if he can get them to line up just right, because only that one circuit that never got moved really stands a chance, but he probably would drop them more on the gas if he was going to go for the Nat. But the main's even better, because then he has to force the whole army back. If he kept his army in position, he could basically just do to Btyb what Btyb tried to do to him. Except the Cyprians are a lot more dangerous than a couple of Quasis. The workers are not really going to be able to force those down.
Yeah, I find that Cyclops being dropped are sometimes even better than Cyprians, but they do require the enemy's units to kind of stand still. And so if the player is dutiful enough in the response time with regards to the Droleths, you can sometimes get away without losing anything to a Cyclops drop, which is not usually the case. Like Newt, rest his soul, no longer in the server, rage quit over the name of Real Time for Real Men, I think. I can't remember exactly.
What?
Yeah, well, that's a long story. But he was actually mathing out and timing out these Cyclops base drops where he would basically go for like a 1 Fulcrum, 1 Star Pad, get like 3 Cyclops out, and just annihilate Protoss with it if they didn't scout it properly. So that leveled up a lot of the Protosses, but I don't think he ever utilized it against Zerg. In fact, I think maybe Nebline was the only player who might have had the opportunity, because back then he was playing Zerg.
Sorry, I'm still caught up on a Real Time for Real Men.
Yeah. That makes sense. He thought it was for working out or something.
I mean, it is, kind of.
Yeah, working out your wrists. And not that
No,
way.
Btb does not want to go into this choke point. This is an absolute disaster, and it is getting all into his raccoon wounds.
Yeah, that consumed a lot of what he had. His Bactylisks weren't really with the rest of the army, right? That's what he made that ski-backed scab for. So you think about the way that the Zerg tech tree works, unlocking that at tier 1.5, so to speak. It does give you a pretty good advantage in these kinds of fights, because you can start to bounce through. You damage things that confuse the clerics. The Ant Seal can't protect everything at once. But you needed them with the fight and the engagement, and I think that was the initial part of the fight that really went poorly. In a way, it's kind of like Btyb has a short-lived tech advantage because of the ski-backed, but it's only if those units are with the fight. So definitely a bit of a whiff there.
Definitely don't want to charge into the Madrigals and Cyclops with a bunch of squishy units out front in a choke point.
He's got a nice, well-placed Quasi to catch this Trojan. I'm not sure that he'll see it on the minimap.
I don't think so. I think that Grunch saw it there, because he was looking over there, but he's proceeding, and Btyb is none the wiser.
Yes.
Trying to build some more Bactylis to try to bust this front again. Grunch can just kind of, like, he's just playing this very, very slow and safe. He really doesn't want to commit. He's really, really scared of Btyb. So he's just doing this very, very calmly. And he doesn't really have to. He has such a military advantage. He really could be just containing, applying pressure, and really could have denied this third from ever coming up. But I think he also may have forgotten about the Trojan. Nope,
Well,
he selected it for a moment.
Yeah, he cycles his control groups a lot. Now, he doesn't want, just like Btyb didn't want to go into that choke, absolutely Grunch does not want to go out on the open field versus all these Bactylisks. So I think now that the dust has settled, Grunch decided to wait because his transport was attacked by the Quaz. So he didn't want to just go ahead and pull the trigger on the drop straight ahead in case Btyb did see it.
If Grunch thinks to pull his shit over to that ramp there, he could deal so much damage if Btyb tries to force this, but he's not going to do it.
No, he's face tanked most of the mines that are left. Those are a lot of Madrigals deployed, though, and a war on two fronts. Btyb kind of splitting most of his army, and a big chunk of them weren't in this fight either. So that is not at all what Btyb needed to do in that situation, and this is the go signal for Grunch. A dominating military victory just now.
Yeah, all the clerics were with those Madrigals, so they just kind of healed them, and that's not where the bulk of Btb's damage was at the time. So they just destroyed all the front line, and then the side was just a handful of Bactylists that just got rammed by Ahmed and a couple of others, so it just didn't really work out.
Yeah, Tier 2 just finishing off the back of that as well, so I'm pretty sure Btyb has lost any semblance of an advantage across tech, military, production. Of course, in terms of the macro game, he's been behind in workers for most of it as well, so definitely on the back foot here, and I feel like Grunch will be able to finish the job, but we have seen him be pretty timid. He's already got almost a 4K mineral bank as he puts down some captaincies, so there is a chance here for Btyb to maybe take this the long game, but he's super behind right now. It's not looking good.
Btyb really wanted to maybe be taking a fourth behind that, but he hasn't even cleared out that Vulture sitting over there.
That's right,
and that Trojan with the Cyprians is still chilling out.
It's just hanging out. It's sightseeing. They see.
He had a control group on it, I think, and he flipped past it, but he didn't move it.
Right.
Now Grunch has to be careful here because if there was more Bactylists on the ledge here, he could have taken a huge amount of damage. He still can take a huge amount of damage here.
Yeah. The clerics can't get to the actual front line right now.
Running up. That Anseal somehow survived.
2 health. Oh, there you go. And a Hydra has killed the Ministry producing Mason in the 12 o'clock position. Might actually get a full kill onto that Ministry before our boy Terran can actually do anything about it. It does go down, not canceled. So that
was a really important victory for Btyb. The Terran tried to force that fight in the bottom, but if Btyb had all of his Bactylists in a better position, they could have done so much more damage. But even then, that was still like a lot of the Madrigals died, a lot of the subunits died, the one Anseal died. The Cyprians can't really get away. And Btyb can force this if he wants to. He can just run right in before they regroup. There's more back there that aren't in the fight yet, but now they're coming. So now it's the window's closing, but he does kill the one.
Yeah. The other Madrigal's very far away.
It's
so
mostly Hydra's tanking damage, and they're not very tanky.
No, they're not super adept at that. I will say, if there were like 6 more Bactylists with that just attacked now, I feel like Btyb could have done some serious amounts of damage.
He's got a lot of Azure cores, like a lot of them.
Oh yeah, 19 of them in the middle. He's probably got more coming. Yeah, I can see a couple more streaming on through. Grunch still hasn't remembered that Trojan is there. We're probably going to harp on that for a little bit.
It's abandoned.
Yeah. I do love that Btyb has gotten a bunch of units in a couple of key spots, like watching for fourths, watching for drops. So even though he didn't see the Trojan leave, and I don't even know if he realized that his Hydra at 12 o'clock killed something, he has done some really nice, he's gotten some really nice, you'll say, mileage out of those units alone. So
that Goliath is incredibly aggressively spinning, wiggling.
Yeah, it's trying. I think we already fixed that, but that
he built another Trojan.
Thing.
I still don't know if he has any idea what happened to the other one.
No, it's just...
He'll be waiting for Zamihan timing like
20 he just looked at it. He just looked at it again, so maybe he'll think about it now, pulling his Vulture away to the bottom right, just doing some more scouting. He kind of knows there's no fourth base, but that might be false knowledge.
28 Azura cores. 29. That's a lot.
Well, what he's planning is the Tetzora core. The Tethfifth Swamp just finished, so I'm pretty sure, he's going to go for those bad boys. They do cost a bit of gas now, and of course they cost a boatload of minerals, but he can maybe ask Grunch for some, 4.5k in the bank.
Yeah, Grunch definitely could lend him some minerals. And, if Grunch isn't careful, he's still in a very, very commanding spot, especially with the Olympians coming out now. But if he's not careful, if he suffers another defeat like that and gives Btyb, Btyb is finally taking a fourth.
Yes.
And, it's near that. Oh, it's near the Trojan, but he forgot about it. And if he just continues
he moved it a little bit. It's facing a different angle now.
There's a situation that he could find himself in where Btyb is actually ahead economically.
Yeah, absolutely. He's
Maybe
rallying
he
a
doesn't
couple
want
of
to make the
units
same
up here,
mistake.
but-
Like these pits are
yeah.
just death traps, and he doesn't want to get caught in the same mistake again.
Yeah, I mean, admittedly, most of the army is kind of split either in the middle or off to the right here for Grunch, but it's very easy to move forward, and there's so many Hurricanes, similar
many
into the Iziricor and Tetzoricor count, actually. It's a similar sort of
Yeah, it's
situation.
Ahmed and Olympians. I feel like those are just going to annihilate Btyb's front line, but
Let's find out. He's charging ahead with the Tetzoricors. If they can find the ability to attack, they will get some life steal back, but it doesn't feel like they're able to get there. Maybe missing that Zoryus to accelerate them, perhaps? Definitely not working out the way that he wants to. Now, Grunch could make a mistake by moving to the left here. That will give him the cliff advantage, but there's just not that much Zerg left.
yeah, a lot of the Tetzoricors died before they got a chance to do anything. I think actually Aziricors blocked a lot of them, and there wasn't that many Bactylists. So with the Aziricors out in front and no cliff advantage this time, the Hydras weren't able to get a lot of damage in. And I mean, the Terran front line is so beefy on top of it with all the Clerics and the Hurricanes that
Yes.
yeah, there just wasn't much saturated damage to put on there, so he just sustained it all.
Well, check out the Cyprians. They are slowly killing the
Oh,
Iroleros.
they're coming! They're coming!
They've
They're
done a bunch
coming!
of damage to the
Oh!
Iroleros. Whoa,
Oh!
check out my burrow
Not a
move.
single kill,
No
though.
scanner sweep over here in this game, buddy.
Now,
Yeah.
he wants to save his Iris, though, because he's... Oh...
It's dead.
mm,
And
that
the
went
other
really
Trojan that
just
he
about as
made,
well as he could.
yeah, the other Trojan that he made died in the because it was part of the
Now,
army.
maybe he has
hierarchy.
to remember that he has workers burrowed, and he has to unburrow them pretty soon.
He also has to
There you
realize
go.
he's got 12 at the 9 o'clock
Yeah, that
position that
one's
are
about
about
to
to get
die.
annihilated.
It's Jover.
He forgot about it. He's gonna charge out to try to
Oh,
catch
wait.
the army over here. This could be good. Well, I say that, but the Madrigal's gonna
Oh,
deploy.
no, the battle workers. Oh,
Get him! Oh wait, they're gonna
Grunch
get
is
out.
terrified of the battle workers.
No, the Madrigal's self-shooting. Ah,
They escaped. Almost all of them escaped. Only a few of them died. That
yeah,
that was
only half.
Grunch pulled back and
He hasn't killed the hatch either. He was really terrified
No.
about that.
the battle workers scared the shit out of him. He was intimidated. He's seen battle workers. He knows.
Yeah.
He's read up on the lore. He knows.
Absolutely. That's the game I
terrifying.
can't find, by the way. If anybody can find me Battle Workers.
That
there's like
was battle workers wasn't that from the
it was one of the Ascensions, yeah.
yeah, it was the Ascension where I went on like a 4, 5, 6 game winning streak or something.
Yeah.
It
I
was
think
the
so.
winter one.
Maybe it was you versus Btyb or something? I can't remember who it was. It was
It
on
was a Winter
Otherworld.
Invitational, I think, or whatever it was
Oh,
called.
it might have been that. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
That-
it was
that
what
could've
is the
been.
last one I played in. It was this
Okay.
this last little last
Yeah,
one.
I don't think I checked that one, so that might be it. Anyway, if you guys want to see Battle Workers, somebody needs to link it. Look at the production tab. Grunch has like 10 things in
Yep.
there. Btb's making
He's finally
mutas.
spending his resources.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
unfortunately for Grunch, if you look in his main, you're gonna see that there is a there's a containment going on here. There's a containment, but look how many Ahmed. There's so many Ahmed.
Ahmed. Dude, Ahmed's a real
Oh,
unit,
dude,
man.
Battle Worker. Battle Worker. It's got some gas.
my
It's bringing
God.
it over. Grunch needs some. God, there's so many Ahmed.
You can't
These
defeat that
Seraphs
many
are going to
Ahmed.
cause so many problems for Btb out if they can land their Vespane or their gas.
They radiate.
Whatever, gas, irradiate, same thing. Oh, it's just, there's so many Terran.
Oh,
BDB
you can
just
walk
got
into their
rolled
own.
over.
Ooh, they both walked in independently. Walked
He
into their
irradiated
own
his
irradiate
I
field.
mean, you can do that in Brood War. Same
Yeah.
idea. Just irradiate your own units and run them over.
Well, while we were busy talking about that, the Btb's whole army is dead. So I think this might be
Yeah,
over.
yeah, they
He
just
has a
got
lot of
rolled
mutas,
over.
but you know, I don't think it's going to be nearly enough.
I don't think it's really going to help too much. He's already got Ramses and Madrigals and everything else. You
Yeah.
definitely want it to have a little bit more oomph at this point here.
Yeah, no advanced static defense despite tier 2 being present, and there's a good old nuclear launch.
Oh my god. There's so many Aziricors again. The problem is they just don't deal damage really. You
Hey,
want them
they'll
for
enjoy the
saturated-
nuclear missile. They're about to receive
Oh my
it.
god. He can't stop this. It's too far away.
Kaboom!
He almost irradiated his Saros, but he avoided it this time.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And mutas are destroying 1 watchdog, 2 watchdogs, 3 watchdogs. Grunch is actually gonna. No, never mind. Okay, thank God. I thought he was gonna start falling.
Ahmed is on the scene. Have no fear.
Ahmed's here.
Ahmed is here. Ahmed is over there.
No, the Seraphs. They're flying in. So is the Magical. It's just hanging out. There you go.
The Seraph
GG
barely
is gonna be
escapes.
called. Btyb's workers went, or mutas went on a rampage in the top right, and that will do it. Grunch taking map number 1. You know, he always finds a way to make it interesting.
Yeah. That wasn't as convincing of a win as I was expecting if it went into macro. He definitely had some fumbles there that could have cost him the game, especially if Btyb was more on the ball with macro.
Yes, I would
or
say
if it
so.
decided for like I think Btyb was just too eager to fight.
There's a couple
He was
of
just
times,
too eager
yeah,
to fight because all the times he pulled out was when Grunch tried to fight and made a huge mess out of it. Like when he got annihilated on that lower level. If Btyb could just like control the map in such a situation where he would end up making those mistakes, then Btyb was in a position, because every single time he was in front of the Terran's base is because the Terran made some incredibly bad miscalculation about being offensive. The only problem was that Btyb was constantly trying to fight when he wasn't in a position to fight, and the fights would always be a complete disaster because he always just had the weaker army, or the positioning wasn't right on top of having a weaker army. And he just didn't need to fight in a lot of those cases. He could have just hung out and tried to starve the Terran and choke out the map. But unfortunately, he wanted more sacrifices for the dad altar, so he threw himself onto it.
I guess so. Well, there's always the opportunity for a reverse sweep. We're going to Derelict. Listen, we start on Axiom, which is Btyb's map. We go to Derelict, which is Btyb's map. I don't know. I mean...
Which one is Grunch's map?
Grunch didn't make any maps.
You
So
don't
sad.
have Bloodbath?
He's lazy. Honestly, he's got to get on that. We hope that Grunch returns to us, because honestly, these Gauntlet games are kind of some of his earliest matches within Cosmonarchy. He ended up being a much more competitive player as a Zerg, and then at some point, I think he kind of got slapped, sort of like I don't know, a bunch of people, and then decided, maybe it's not for me. And hey, you know what? Maybe it isn't.
This isn't my RTS legacy.
Check it out.
I can't uphold it.
I'm going to say this is Alice Blue Terran in the bottom left. It's electric blue. Man, I'm out of it with these colors. I can't recall this one. Is this just... It's not olive. It's not pumpkin.
It looks like vomit.
Man. What is this color? I've seen this before in my dreams. I'm going to have to give up on this one.
Was it with
Brown.
LSD?
Beaster Brown. Never saw that one before. Well, Btyb is going for the 7 pool, 8 pool, 9 pool. I don't actually know what he's doing. It looks like that was a 9 pool. So still being aggressive, but a little bit more on the side of maybe like a timing of units. I actually don't like it as a rush, but if you're expecting aggression, 9 pool holds a lot of the other like super rushes very nicely. But that's not really been Grunch's MO. Like, sure, he had a lot of vultures out early.
The same vulture thing every single game. Like, just make maths.
Yeah, there you go. Maybe an option. You know, you hold with like, 2-3 pairs of Quasi at the ramp and then do a 1-base sort of Vornath timing. That is a possibility. Probably want to do it with a hatch at the ramp as well for good measure, but only because you want to save your Vespene. And people are going Larvosk first in the early stages of the game sometimes, and you want to hold your Vespene instead of the Larvosk for the Vornath in that situation. But I don't know. Btyb has some builds and some ideas. He is going to go straight for the hatch. This puts him down to 8 workers while one of them is scouting. And the most he can do is do a little bit of tickling. Scouting.
This time he's going to pull back his worker because he knows he's just going to die anyways. So maybe grab some gas from the middle.
There you go.
It's Shambler time.
No, it's Shambler. You're right. I guess if you actually get the random opportunity, like the random chance to get Shambler as your name for your worker, then you probably are like contractually obligated to use that one as a scout. And look at that! It doesn't get that much info, which is what I think you were going to say there, but it also just gets sniped immediately.
Yeah, it wasn't like the info it could have gotten wouldn't have been very useful. Like, you know what he's going to do because he's done it every game.
Yes.
He's always sending the vultures out there, and it's like, that's just going to be what happens. It would have been much more useful either harvesting gas in the middle to get you some early on, or just coming back just to help your minerals. Now, this is definitely a situation where there's some danger here, because if the other vulture comes, they could get some damage onto these quasis, but he got tickled trying to put mines out in the front instead, so I think he kind of lost that opportunity.
Yeah, well, with this situation, I got to go back to Btyb's build. He had 3 larvae on his main hatch when he put down the second one, so not very like tempo efficient, we can say. Looks like he'll lose a second quaz as well, so down 75 minerals. Will be able to maybe get that vulture with very limited amounts of HP, but the mine burrows and kind of cancels any aggression. Very defensive Kagrin over here for Btyb as well. So yeah, I feel like we're kind of locked into the same situation as before. Gas mining coming up now for Btyb. We'll see what he wants to do.
I mean, if Grunch had a good read of this situation, he really could go like hard like triple Fulcrum and just be very, very aggro early on. Or go like Cleric Goliath and just have like 1 or 2 of them. And just keep baiting out Btyb on this over and over and over again while you expand until you thin out the numbers. Because the worker count is so enormously in Grunch's favor that he can afford to take... Okay, not like that.
Wow. Yeah.
I was going to say, he can afford to take a few losses to force his way in, but losing his vultures on the ramp like that, not so good.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple opportunities here as well for Btyb to maybe not get stunned to death like he is right now. He could just attack move and kill these top 2 vultures. Looks like he's just about to do that. 2 of them very wounded in the back, but 2 more come up as reinforcers. This could be the opportunity for Grunch to just close this out nice and easy 2-0, but looks like Btyb will hold on for now. I gotta criticize his circuit placement as well. I mean, we all love our boy, but this placement here, it should definitely have been closer to the ramp, especially since you're mutating it. You're not going to drop it with an Ovoleth later.
Yeah.
So that would have covered
offered
so much
some
more.
attacks in those exchanges.
Oh, no.
Instead, he's just walking into he knows the lobsters are there. He's trying to bait them out, but if Grunch is paying attention, he's going to make him trade for it every single time, which is just not efficient at all.
Well, the other thing you have to think about is on the mechanics of how that interaction works. The attack move from the Quasilisks is going to prioritize vultures over the mines. So when the mines come into place, if the vultures are sitting right there, that's the right way to kind of babysit the mines to make sure that those Quasis go after the wrong target and still get stunned and then take a lot of losses. Treasury now up here for Grunch. Ovoleth only coming in now after most of the mines are gone. So the threat is more or less past. He can try for a drop, but Grunch is back into a defensive posture. So it feels like there's really nothing that can happen to the Terran.
I think Grunch wanted to go aggressive. He was making Cyclops fairly early in, but since that kind of got fumbled, he's just kind of going back to probably, he's going to go straight to the add-on now and probably go for some clerics to heal up. No repair love here.
Yeah,
he is going to repair. No, he's going to make some anchors okay. Actually. He's actually expecting Btyb to be really aggressive about this, even a Watchdog.
Well, I guess that kind of preempts any frontal attack, but it doesn't do anything to potential drops, even though Btyb has already done that in the previous match. He is moving his units over there, and because Derelict has such a wide main, if you don't cover that, you can absolutely get into situations where, this whole quasi-army could be elevated up the side of the cliff.
I mean, you could get into a situation where someone's got half of their base inside of yours, building Achmids and shit, and you don't even know it.
Yeah, we've seen that plenty of times. Those are the best games. I hope we see those very soon.
If Btyb, oh my god, he just might. You gotta be careful with these scouts that he's sending out, though, because one coming from that direction is very sussy baka, and definitely can draw. Like, if I saw something coming from down there, I'd be confused why he went such a weird direction.
Oh, another one comes up at the top, maybe helps dispel any concerns. And it looks like with 12 Quasilisks in the base, he's actually going to go for the remaining 4 as he takes his natural. This is such a gambit, because that mine never went off. It's going to go off now, and that means that Grunch will eventually realize, okay, my opponent has their natural coming, but it's so late compared to what Grunch has. This drop has to do an incredible amount of work.
And he definitely wants to wipe out as many of the workers as possible. Kind of wanted to hold on attacking until he was inside the worker line already for the maximum possible chance to avoid alert. But Grunch is pretty fast to respond here, so the workers are out. And now it's just half the Quasis attacking buildings.
Yes.
And he gets, honestly, very little out of it for the cost. Oh,
that one Tickle Man left. Yeah, I think he killed maybe 4 workers. He did pop a couple Cyclops and Vultures, but... definitely not as much damage as he wanted to do. Now, that being said, the worker count isn't that very disparate. We are going to see a second quarry, which is a third production structure for workers, for the Terran player, up and running. And with the Hydras out for Btyb, his army supply, or his army count being lower, is kind of offset by that, because Hydras trade a little bit better than individual quasi units do. But that being said, the Hatch is only now up at the natural. Btyb will have to transfer some workers down there if he wants to get efficiency out of them. So Grunch is still in the lead, for sure.
Yeah, even despite the worker losses, he was still substantially ahead in workers, and that's just going to continue to climb with the quarries now up. And he's going to probably build a couple watchdogs over here. So, I mean, you get a little bit of cost out of forcing that, but with the overall income being higher anyways, it's not that big of a gain at the grand scheme of things. I think it kind of comes down to the positioning of the quasis, not focus firing, and then you also kind of want to position them in such a way where you have to force the Terran to go through you to escape. Since they came down from the bottom right and they didn't move up with the workers kind of just right-click onto the minerals and they just funnel up, and then at that point they were just attacking whatever. So didn't even get that much military. I don't think he even killed any of the military units, or maybe it was like one vulture or something.
There's a couple Cyclops, a couple vultures. He could have maybe focused down the vestry with pretty low armor. That or the quarry. The quarry would have been a great choice for target selection after the fact, but Avaleth coming in here for a scout. We'll see one of the 3 watchdogs that have been built since that initial raid. So that's a little bit of cost, like you mentioned. There is going to be a full ring of them established, just like that one game on Impetus after the one quasi drop from Dead Infested. So.
Yeah, I think if you see the Madrigal and the mines, you just don't attack this.
Yeah.
You just go full contain. You don't go in there. Not until you can do stuff like make Bactylus, because you're going to take so much damage going in there. Trading that is going to be so inefficient.
Yes.
And you already are behind the military. It's like suicide to even think about fighting that. So it's best just to like keep some units here, figure out if the Terror moves out, and then be in a, like maybe on those ramps or something in the middle, so that you have a good position if they end up cutting past you, and you can get a lot of early damage on them and equalize it. But it's definitely not desirable to attack that, and there's already like a spam of Achmeds going on. And I think that if you're Btyb and you're seeing this happening, you already know the composition he's going to do, because it's identical to the last game. He's going to do the exact same thing, and you already know what doesn't work against it.
Well,
meanwhile, he's being irritating, and this could do some damage here if he catches it, which is what he wants to do.
Yeah, he wants to see if he can get him away from all the static defense, away from the deployed Madrigals, but
he doesn't have enough Hydras.
Yeah, I was going to make this point.
Bactylus.
I was looking at what Grunch actually had, and I think it was a mistake, like not in the sense of it's like a big fumble, like in chess terms where you make a critical error or a fumble or whatever they call it, and it's just like, oh man, you really made a huge error in this one move. I don't think it was a huge error, but Grunch definitely left opportunity on the table for like being out on the map, because he had the superior army that whole time, right? Yeah. So he didn't need to fear Btyb, but he didn't know that. You know, he's new to the project, so he plays it kind of conservatively. He can afford to, because of the advantages he's gotten himself in the early stages of this game, similar to our game number 1. And now he's able to realize, wait a second, I can muscle this guy out. He's got a cheeky idea to try to burn down the watchdogs with the Bactylisks and such, but I'm just going to go ahead and take my expansion on location. That might make Btyb clue in to take his own third, but as of right now, that's not happening. And when the Terran is up on expansions over the Zerg, especially on tempo for that, I mean, you're definitely noticing that Grunch is a little bit more on top of the macro game. And I feel like Btyb wanted to end both of these games early because of the way that they opened, with the aggressive pool in this game in terms of the timing, but then it pivoted into a hatch, which is a bit weird. But that first game with a 7 pool, it doesn't feel like Btyb wants to be in these macro matches. It's not his strength.
Yeah, I definitely feel like he needs to like lean really hard into Bactylisk. That Mass Hydra just doesn't work. And he's just getting like outranged and just outdamaged every single time he engages, and it's just a repeating pattern. And now we're looking at the Terran having, again, much higher sustain, much better army, and on top of it, Btyb seated in the middle of the map, where if he had hung out in the middle and pulled his other new units onto the middle, he could have had initiation strength because of that. And his only gambit here is hoping that this surround gets something in, but the Terran can try to move out here. It's mostly vultures in the front, so if he wants to move, he can. But they can just sit back and body block for this Madrigal that's not getting focus rate. Yeah. Being hit. Okay, finally go down, but look at the damage he dealt. The whole right side of Btyb's army is gone.
Btyb's typing to distract him. A little. I can't. That was what an amazing response. Holy shit, that was good. Well, for those who don't know, when there's an error like that, the protocol is to play out for the next few minutes and then see what happens in the game after. But I think Btyb is he's thrown in the towel by the typing of it.
Yeah. You dashed a little bit. That's the best response I've ever seen to that.
Yes. I think so, yeah. Well, Btyb is brought to an unceremonious end. I'm sure Grunch would have... doing a little hash is all part of the game, dude. But I feel like...
need to.
I feel like Grunch, he definitely had the advantage in both of these games, the sort of early lead. And I mean, we saw how the other game went and how the games against Dead Infested went. It feels like it would have taken his time, but he would have gotten there in the end. So there you go.
Yeah.
Having not seen, by the way, I kind of was under the impression, based on what I saw out of his Zerg, that he was going to be a much stronger player right out the gate. Also, with the way that I had logged the results back in the day as like, oh, he 2-0'd Dead Infested. Oh, he 2-0'd Btyb. Like I had the match outcome reported to me, even though I didn't see the actual games until just now. So, and by the time we're casting this now, it's months later. I've forgotten most of those details. But the point is, I knew that Grunch was 2-0ing people, so I was like, oh, well, he must be pretty good. So the fact that we're coming in and actually seeing the texture of the game and realizing, oh my god, it was much more deranged than I thought. So, you know what? I probably should hash a little myself, buddy. I appreciate it.
I don't think you get this far without hashing.
That's right. That's right. Well,
it's all part and parcel.
I will point out, Btyb switched from Protoss to Zerg between Gauntlet A and Gauntlet B. His reasoning was he wanted to avoid the mirror matchups, and lo and behold, he is greeted with a ZVZ in the opening match against an Ozlix. So, I feel like if he had stuck around with Protoss, and a lot of people share this opinion, Neblime, Shambler, a couple of others who were aware that the switch was going on, were both saying, I know in Neblime and Shambler's cases, they were like, wait, why would you switch from Protoss? You're pretty good. Like, you could definitely be a Battleman's caliber player on the, maybe on the right day, if you get the right amount of sleep or whatever. Like, might be a tight set of series to play, but you could definitely do it, whereas your Zerg is a lot less proven. There's the one tournament where he went random, and his... admittedly, he did 4-0 his group when he went random. He defeated Keen with like proxy anchor and other shenanigans. But he had to get a little bit of luck to roll Protoss in a key match, and that's the kind of thing that could potentially be somewhat abusable. And to go to a race that you have less time with, I do wonder about that decision for Btyb. I don't know if you have much to say on that, because we were talking earlier. I mentioned Hamster. And you were like, wasn't he a Zerg? And I was like, yeah. And then he was also a Protoss. Like, people are changing their race quite a bit. I don't know if you have much to comment on with that. I guess it's just giving them a better understanding of the game as it evolves and stuff. But it is interesting. Definitely.
Yeah. I remember when I played against Btyb as Protoss, his early game was very aggressive. And I feel like that if that had been, like, if he had played like that with Protoss in these matches, I think he would have won. Like, I think he would have been consistently winning. Because it was clear that Grunch was, like... Okay, Btyb's macro might fall off later in the game, but I feel like he would have a better idea what to do anyways if the early game aggression didn't win. But the fact is that Grunch was basically allowed to slowly feel his way out after getting initial Vulture harass in, and he just was able to very calmly just slowly win. And... there was a lot of cases where he would make these huge blunders, but it really wasn't punished. Like, Btyb would give him back the advantage. And it definitely felt like Btyb was kind of making the same mistake that Grunch was doing, because Grunch just did the same thing every game, which meant that he kind of was telegraphing what he was doing. But Btyb played into that same matchup with the same composition he was doing every single game, so it played out the same way every single time too. And it was like, I felt like if Btyb was playing Protoss, he might have just had a better idea of how to flex out of that kind of situation.
I feel like the familiarity would have been very nice, especially going up against players you've never faced before. Like, maybe they're just not very good and you can, trounce them that way. But I agree. Grunch didn't play flawlessly, and that would have allowed Btyb some opportunity, some play in the series. It wasn't like he was going up against, a top caliber player or anything. I will say, though, it's going to be setting us up for a TVT match when we go to the next one. Depending on, we could go there, or we could do Benno versus Inozlix later on. Depends. I guess we'll probably do that one next, and we'll finish with the Grunch saga, because he goes up against Moonhunter. Both Grunch and Moonhunter had to forfeit their opening match, and so they actually technically have not been defeated yet, and so but they are already expired one tournament life by doing that. So it'll be interesting. We got 2 more best of 3s before the gauntlet is put to bed for good, and we've technically casted all of those matches. Although I guess we didn't do Gauntlet A. I don't know if we'll bother. We might just go skip to more modern ones the next time I see you. But anyway, that's where we're at now. Grunch moving on to face off against Moonhunter. It'll be a great time, and as always, shout out Newt. He's a cool guy. Yep. Appreciate your real time for real men workout videos, dude.
Real time for real men.